Welcome to another edition of Killer Collab. Once again, as you know, I'm joined here by suit and tie movie guy Nikki Bella.
You gonna do that every single time?
Every time, well, until Nikki Bella actually shows up.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that. You don't look anything like John Cena.
And, well, I don't do steroids.
Hey, he's never been busted. But I don't know about you.
There's ways around it.
I'm extremely excited. You can tell by my face.
I love this movie.
It was on my top. I think it was in my top 5.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was.
This has been one of my favorites since last 15 years.
It's hilarious. It hits everything, joy, kind of funny.
Yeah, cult classic. So, guys, today we are doing the 2004 horror comedy Shaun of the Dead. It was written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Simon Pegg obviously plays Shaun alongside Nick Frost. They've done quite a few movies together. The Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End.
World's End.
I didn't care for that one compared to the other two, but
I actually enjoyed that.
I liked it. It just compared to the first two. I mean,
well,
Hot
it was out
Fuzz is
there.
one of my
It was an
favorites,
out there story.
But this was the first. I mean, they wrote it, and they really were risking a lot to try to make this movie happen. They had been doing a show called Spaced, which I've never seen, but I heard that there's a lot of tie-ins to that show.
Was that on British television?
Yeah, it was on British television. There's supposed to be a lot of tie-ins, but Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were roommates in real life, which is where they got a lot of the stuff that they used in Shaun of the Dead. It didn't do amazing in the theaters. It was like a $4 million budget. It did about $30 million worldwide, but it's really gained a cult following.
And that's still not a bad, just profit gross.
Yeah.
I mean you really spend $400, you get 36 back.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I still remember the first time I saw this movie. It was around 2004, 2005. Everything was coming out on DVD. Everyone was allegedly burning DVDs, and Blockbuster was still around. And a buddy of mine, my buddy Tommy, had allegedly gotten this device where you could burn DVDs, and he got a card at Blockbuster where you can rent 2 a day.
Oh yeah, I had one
at
of
a
those.
time.
I had one of those.
Yeah, so I mean, he would get 2, burn 2, and we watched Dawn of the Dead and then Shaun of the Dead because they came out within 2 weeks. So they had to push back Shaun of the Dead a couple weeks so it wasn't coming out at the same time as Dawn of the Dead. And this is a story for a different day, but I really liked that Dawn of the Dead also.
Yeah.
The 2004 Ving Rhames. But obviously this is a spoof of a lot of the old zombie movies, a lot of the Romero. And George Romero actually liked this movie so much that when he did Land of the Dead in 2005, he had Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, the director, as zombie cameos in Land of the Dead.
In Land of the Dead?
In the movie.
Did they say where?
No, it didn't list it. I'm sure we could find it. I have seen it before. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But if you guys know exactly where the timestamp is, tell us all about it in the comment section. But
please,
that was one of the first times I saw the movie. And, it's one of those movies where British humor, people either love it or hate it. I really like it.
I'm entertained by it.
So am I.
I enjoy it.
It's very dry. A lot of the things that I find funny in this movie, I'll show it to other people, and they're just like, what?
Yeah,
that was it.
Yep.
Stupid little things. And I'm sure everyone at home who likes this movie knows what I'm talking about. Going up the steps, coming to little things. But what I really enjoyed about this movie was the fact that even though it was a comedy, it still had a lot of aspects of horror to it.
Yes, absolutely. The elements were there. You're supposed to be scared of the zombies. You're supposed, and it gives you like the end of the world type of feel.
One of the times I watched is a funny story, and you actually don't know this story. My friend Bridget, hopefully you're watching, Bridget. We were at her apartment maybe 2012, and it was her twin sister and a couple other friends, and people were kind of slowly leaving, and it was myself, her, and her twin sister, and we put on Shaun of the Dead. And at this time, I used to drink. I don't really drink anymore, but at that time, I drank on occasion, and we decided, let's play a drinking game. And
just the two of you?
Yep. Well, yeah, because her sister was getting ready to leave, so we're trying to think. We're watching the movie. We're quoting every line. Her sister's getting so annoyed, and finally her sister goes, guys, why don't you just drink every single time they say Shaun? Well, if you watch the beginning scene of that movie in the pub, it's Shaun, Liz. I mean, we were tanked. Absolutely tanked. There it is again. I always say absolutely. You guys should drink every time I say absolutely. But we were pretty drunk, and then we decided to watch Moulin Rouge. And every time they sang a different song, we would drink. And needless to say, I was hanging off the edge of her
How did you
bed.
make to the second movie?
I don't know. I really don't. Willpower, bad decisions, a young liver. So she was hugging the toilet all night. I was in her bed for some reason.
Puke and rally.
Oh, it was terrible. But, one of the things that I love about this movie is a couple things. There's the foreshadowing.
Yep.
There's a ton of foreshadowing in the movie, and
you just know.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also quick cuts.
I love those edits.
At home, if you guys don't know what quick cuts, it'll be something like he's flushing the toilet, he's zipping up his pants, he's brushing his teeth, he's throwing the toothbrush in the holder, and he's straightening his name tag, and it's all cut.
They also do it with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich when he's doing that. I like that say too.
So, there was a few things that pushed this movie back. They got a financial backer that ended up trying to cut the budget down, and the director had offers for other jobs, and he turned them down and was beyond broke. He was borrowing a bunch of money from Simon Pegg just to try to get this up and running, and to this day, Simon Pegg, who's had a lot of success, Star Trek and a bunch of other things, he has not let him pay that money back, but he's doing well in his own right, so...
Yeah.
But to take it in, let's start. At the beginning of the movie, we see them in the bar, and we see kind of the relationship that Shaun and Liz have with their friends, David and Di there, and Ed. He's the lazy.
We get introduced to all of them. He's funny.
Yeah,
I like Nick.
Oh no, I liked all their movies. Paul. They did a bunch.
Oh,
together.
I like Paul. I keep forgetting about Paul.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they do in Shaun of the Dead that comes up in Hot Fuzz too, like hopping over the gardens, all that. But that'll come up a little bit later. So we kind of see the kind of relationship that Shaun and Liz have, and he's promising that they'll do this and do that. We'll go to the place that does all the fish because she wants to have a nice romantic dinner because they never go anywhere together. And when he opens the phone book later in the movie to find the restaurant, it literally says the place that does all the fish. So at the beginning, we meet his roommate, and we see that his roommate does not like Ed. He wants him to go home. They had fun years ago, but he doesn't bring any money into the house. He's a slob. He's a drug dealer part-time.
It's just weed.
It's just, these days, that's not.
Well, these days it's different.
15 years ago, it really wasn't that big a deal, but it's definitely becoming more acceptable. I don't know how it is over the pond, but one of the scenes that I really like in this movie is they do a long shot that follows Shaun from his flat, his apartment, across the street and into the mini mart, and it's one long shot, and then they do that same shot the next day. And everyone's either dead or running from the dead, or there's blood, and he just is completely hungover and oblivious to it. But, we're skipping ahead a little bit. But
just a little bit.
One of the things that a lot of people don't notice, and why would you? It's in a different language. But if you look at the newspaper on the desk, next to the English paper is an Indian paper because the shopkeeper is Indian.
Yep.
And on top, the headlines basically in English says, people rising from their grave. So, a little...
Was it happening in India first?
That's, I think, would be what it was hinting at. There's a lot of celebrities on the TV, and from what I've read, they're actually real celebrities over in England or wherever they're from.
In the UK?
Yeah, in the UK. They're actually, playing themselves. The newscasters, the kind of like Oprah and Ricky Lake of the UK. So...
That's pretty cool.
We see Shaun go to his job, and he doesn't really like his job.
He hates it.
He's 29 years old. He wants to do stuff with his life, and this is where the long-running gag of "you've got red on you" starts. It starts with a nice little pen in his front pocket, and he's got red.
Yep.
And we meet his stepfather that he wants to make sure everyone knows is his stepdad and not his real dad. He's in charge of the shop for the day. which the name of the shop was actually used for the last name. It was the last name of an actor who was in the original Dawn of the Dead and who had a cameo in the remake.
Oh, wow. Okay, fun
There's
fact.
a lot of
Fun
stuff
fact.
like that. There's a lot of ties to old zombie movies and horror movies on shops throughout the movie. A lot of little Easter eggs that most people don't know.
Yeah. Well.
So he gets to work. All the senior workers are all sick, kind of showing what's going on, but subtly. He's flipping through the channels. Everything's news and showing, biohazard situations and stuff like that. He sees what we assume is a zombie across the street about to eat a dove. So Liz calls to remind him, and he's just totally zoned out, trying to act like she's someone that she's not, because he basically was just scolding everybody. So he totally forgets about dinner. He's riding the bus back to his house. Everyone's sick. He gets back and talks to Ed, remembers that he's got to book this dinner. And
At last minute.
Last minute, and they're all booked up. So he calls Liz, and she flips out. She basically hangs up on him, so now he's got to run over to her place and beg for forgiveness.
Well, we're all procrastinators in a little bit, at least, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're as bad as Ed and Shaun, though.
I don't know. When did you get your haircut today?
I did get my haircut today. That's because you were late.
I had stuff to do.
Yeah. I'm usually the one that's late. So,
Very late.
They were actually going to do a sequel to this movie as well.
Was that planned for anything?
Yeah, it was going to be called From Dusk Till Shaun, and they were going to insert, instead of zombies, some type of other mythical creature, like a zombie. In that case, probably would have been a vampire. No, not Man Bear Pig.
Man, bear, pig.
It's not real.
Says who?
Well, not Al Gore.
It's a mythical creature. Myth being operative.
Well, I was thinking more. It was vampires. Dusk Till Dawn had vampires.
Werewolves.
Something like that. But
Like
they ended
Twilight?
up, they thought it was better to leave it as a standalone film. Most of the characters had died, which, oops, spoilers. But so Shaun gets his mom some flowers. He rides the bus home. Everyone's sick, and he gets home. Ed claims to have cleaned up. Apparently not. So he goes to try and call the place that they were supposed to go to dinner, and it's last minute. Now he can't get a table, so he has to call Liz and explain to Liz why he screwed up again. And she says, "Well, what's the plan? What are we gonna do?" And Ed's in the background. Winchester? Which, I mean, if you haven't noticed, if you guys haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching this, but everything is focused around the Winchester bar in this.
The Winchester.
So she hangs up. She's mad at him. So he's got to run over to her house and try to fix things. And she's screaming at him, you promised this, you promised that. And
Guys, we've been there.
right, yeah. I think we've all promised women the world and then given them a globe. So...
I mean,
So she essentially dumps him. He's depressed.
I hardly think that's grounds for breaking up.
Well, I mean, maybe not on the first time, but I feel at this point it was more just like, listen, you've promised over and over, and I'm done. I can't do anymore. I mean,
Can't give up on love.
realistically, we can probably think of ways he could have fixed it. I highly doubt that's the only restaurant in town, but it's neither here nor there. We wouldn't have a movie then. So they head over to what?
The Winchester
to get drunk and see a little bit of foreshadowing. I guess I wouldn't be foreshadowing, but we see a couple kind of cuddling next to each other outside to avoid the rain. They go inside the Winchester, and Ed's trying to cheer Nick. Oh gosh, Ed's trying to cheer Shaun up by doing his orangutan impression from Every Which Way But Loose. Sees it's not going to work. They lock the doors, end up doing a bunch of shots, and start comparing all these characters that are in the bar and their backstories and what's going on with them. And we end up seeing pretty much all those characters later as zombies. Pretty much every extra character in this movie that we see, from the checkout girl at the mini mart to Noelle, who is the one of the kids that works with Shaun at the
appliance store.
Yeah, appliance store. He ends up being a zombie too. So pretty much everybody ends up being a zombie. So, they're talking like, let's just stay drunk. Let's, start drink through the night, do shots, wake up, have some Bloody Marys, all this stuff. So, Shaun's crying, and that song comes on. If you leave me now, take away the biggest part of me.
I'm gonna get you in the studio, man. Gonna get you in the studio.
I am
I
the
got one over
second coming of Michael Jackson without the children touching. Okay,
I
would not touch children. Stop it.
You're talking about Michael Jackson?
That one. He kind of looked like a zombie in Thriller. It ties together.
I mean,
nice segue. So
I want a segue.
The scooter?
Yeah,
You would bust ass everywhere. So they end up leaving the bar, and the couple that we saw kissing earlier, we see them kissing again, and as they turn away, the man's head falls off.
Yummy.
And they're walking down the street singing, and the zombie comes up, and they go back and they're playing their DJ scene. And all right, if I had to do a top 10 of my favorite scenes in this movie, this would be up there. My friend Bridget, if you're still watching, which you should be because you're supporting my hobby for now, Pete comes in, the roommate, and he is angry.
The best roommate ever.
And he says, "It's 4 in the..." Yeah.
Thank you for all those edits.
I don't think we're going to be able to use any of them.
No, none of it. I can bleep out what I can, but, yeah.
People at home watching, it's going to be edited, but that was awesome. Yeah. Just saying. Yes. Great scene. So
it was.
So they find out Pete's been bitten. Who bit me? Oh, it was a crackhead. I don't know. So Pete doesn't feel good. He's going up to go to bed. These guys, they've been drinking all night. They pass out. Shaun leaves himself a note. Sort your life out. Wakes up the next morning. He's hungover. He sees the note. All right, I got to start fixing my life. He asks Ed, "What do you want from the shop?" "Cornetto." And for the longest time, I had no idea what that was until I realized it was an ice cream cone. But a little fun fact here.
Ice cream cone?
The ice cream cone in this movie is red, signifying blood, guts, zombies. Okay. The one in Hot Fuzz is blue for police. And the one in World's End is green for sci-fi, aliens, stuff like that.
Never noticed.
Yeah, Cornetto trilogy. So we get that second shot of him walking across to the shop, and everyone's either dead.
In that one shot, yep.
Yep, one shot, and everyone's the same people, but most of them are dead. The hobo with the dog. Dog's gone.
No.
Yep. So they get inside, and we get the line, "There's a girl in the garden." What? Walks over. "In the garden, there is a girl," which I believe is from another zombie movie.
I don't know.
I should know this. I'm filled with useless information. I don't know this. Comment section. So they go out. They think she's just drunk. She's trying to bite Shaun. He pushes her. She falls onto the spike, lifts herself up, and suddenly there's this huge open hole plug. And
well, I like when she falls down, a little blood squirts up.
Yep.
That's what I'm.
And then Ed's sitting there with the camera. Slaps it out of his hand. So they go back inside, trying to kind of reevaluate what are we doing. And earlier in the movie, some of that foreshadowing, we hear Pete talking about the front door being open. Yes. And the newscaster is saying, "Stay inside, make sure all doors are locked." And they kind of look at each other, and then they see the zombie with no arm. He's come through their front door, and we get Shaun going. So they're throwing all kinds of stuff at him. They're throwing pillows and pizza boxes, and they end up bashing his head with the ashtray.
It works.
It works. So,
where are we at now?
Well, they go outside. There's the two zombies.
Oh, yeah.
And we get
then
the
they break all the albumins.
The albums.
So I'll do it from Greece, too. Albumins.
They start throwing the records at them because, at
not
some point they're going to get in.
Not the collector ones.
So they end up having to go through all of the records.
Oh, not that one.
No, not that one. Not that one. Throw it. And they find out it's not working, so they bust down the shed. And they end up bashing both of them in excessively. It's just continuously going and going and going and blood squirting everywhere. And
that just brings me to the scene later in the Winchester, but we'll talk about that when it comes up.
the Queen.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, that's there's just so much good in this, and it's one of those things. I had to watch the movie multiple times to pick up some of the little things, like when Shaun asks, "Are they still out there?" and Ed walks, opens, walks back, pauses. Are they still there? Yeah. It's just comedic timing. So Shaun realizes, oh, crap, we got to go get my mom. We got to go get Liz. So they start formulating these plans. And the first plan, because Philip, his stepdad, has been bitten, the first plan's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Philip. Kill Phil. Go pick up Liz, come back here, wait for all this to blow over. Nope,
that'll work.
Can't come back here, look at the state of it, it's not safe. So then the second plan is shorter. Sorry, Philip, boom. And then the third plan, sorry, it's
those quick cuts thing.
Yeah,
it's just another one of those quick cuts. So when they go through different plans.
They figure out, okay, we're going to go to the Winchester. There's big, heavy locks. We've been to a lock-in. They've got food and, snacks and stuff. So they go to pick up Barbara, the mother.
Mom.
Ugh, she looks like a zombie already.
I mean, makeup.
Yeah, sure, makeup.
or lack thereof.
So here we see another one of those quick cuts, and then we see some of the foreshadowing earlier come into play. After the quick cuts earlier, he closes the medicine cabinet, and we see Pete standing there ready to talk to him about Ed. Here, he closes the cabinet, and we see the silhouette of Pete in the shower. And we see that Pete is naked in the shower and has become a zombie. So he rushes.
Naked zombie.
Naked zombie.
Yeah.
No. So he ends up, he runs down the stairs. Ed asks to drive. He's always wanted to drive Pete's car. So they kind of look through the peephole to see if there's any zombies. And they kind of he yells at him for using zombie, which was like a lot of the old school movies, and Walking Dead included, they don't call them zombies because in their universe, they don't know what a zombie is. There aren't zombie movies. There aren't, some zombie movies these days. Some zombie movies these days acknowledge what zombies are.
It's not the undead. That's vampires. But.
What? I'm talking about Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call them walkers, biters. This and that.
Yeah.
So he gets after like, hey, we don't use the Z word. So they come outside. They see a lot of the people that we've seen earlier in the movie, including the little kid kicking the soccer ball. I know you don't like kids dying. So they get in the car and they're blasting the radio and driving to go pick up Barbara, the mom.
Mommy
and
dearest.
They run someone over. And I got a quick story about this. So my buddy Tommy, I was telling you about earlier.
One drunken night? No.
Yeah. No, he didn't drink at all. He was a vegan. So
what is that guy?
I don't know. But so we were watching one night. What was it? Resident Evil, and I think it was the second one. And Alice had been beaten to a pulp. She's bleeding from her head. She's almost dead. And the little girl goes, "Are you all right?" And my buddy and I thought that was the funniest thing ever. So that whole next day or two, we were like, "Are you all right?" Anytime we saw someone getting hurt. So we see this guy get run over, and his legs twisted and bent, and he's just decrepit. And they back up the car, and my friend and I say, "Are you all right?" And the line comes after we said that was, "Are you all right?" So we just burst out laughing because that's exactly what we had just said. But
in that situation, you have to say that anyway. Are you all right? Oh, zombie. Nope, we're good.
We're good. Yeah. So they get to Barbara's house and they see the Jaguar. He's had it. Not Pete. What's the dad's name? Philip.
Oh yeah.
Philip's had it forever. So they go inside the house to try to convince Barbara to come with them, but she won't leave without Philip. And Philip's like, "Why do we leave? I already got my shots. We don't need to leave. The doctor's not gonna come. Blah blah blah." So they convince them that look, we gotta go. And on the way out, Philip gets bitten by a zombie again in the throat this time. So he's bleeding profusely. They go over to I'm blanking.
Her name?
Liz. They go to Liz's house.
I have problem with names too. Don't worry.
They go to Liz's house.
I'm sorry, hon. What was your name?
And earlier in the movie, he had tried to climb up the gutter to get into her house and wasn't able to. And this time, they were able to. So
He gets up there mysteriously, or
right
somehow.
now, he's trying to convince them now. Like, look, we gotta go. We're going somewhere safe.
Well, he's trying to be the hero. He's trying to be the
Right,
hero.
right.
It's like,
He's
we're gonna go save Liz. We're gonna,
we're gonna.
I'm gonna show her the man I am.
Yeah, and then she's gonna want me back.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to convince them, like, look, these zombies are gonna get in. We need to go.
Well, honestly, what are they on the 4th floor? Or
Yeah.
3rd? It's like, I think they would have been safe up there. Just barricade the door.
Yeah, they probably would have been, and who knows how much food they had, but
Yeah.
it was, and he kind of acknowledges that later, like this is like God, like Winchester, whose idea was that? So they all hop in the car and they pack in, and finally Liz gets to meet the mom, and they take off in the Jaguar because Ed had crashed the other car accidentally.
No, we got to take the Jag.
Yep, shucks. So, they're driving the car, and Philip's trying to have this heart-to-heart with Shaun. Like, you're already partially grown when I met you. I just wanted you to have someone to look up to, and he ends up dying.
Yep.
And, Ed's just being Ed and making Shaun angry and
Annoying as hell.
Right. And he says to the mom, like, Mom, Philip's gone. He's dead. And no, he's not. And they turn, he's a zombie. So they have to get out, and now they're trapped without a car. And they're running through all these backyards and gardens, and the mom ends up getting attacked by a zombie in a robe, and we see her kind of fiddling, and we find out later, obviously she's been bitten. But Shaun's trying to play the big hero here, and this is one of the lines that I love. He goes up to this little kid slide, and this is one of those things where it's not just slapstick funny, it's just so dry. But he says, "You guys stay here. I'm going to go see if the coast is clear." Walks 1 foot to his 1, 2, pause, 1, 2. Is it clear? No. How many? Lots. And there's like a street full of zombies.
Completely, like on the way to the Winchester.
So he ends up bumping into his friend, Yvonne. And
you remember her name? Out of any
I
name, do you
know,
remember
I
Yvonne
know.
over Liz?
I know.
I'm just throwing it out there. Okay. Yvonne.
I no one ever said I was good at what I do. So they end up walking by each other, and it's like the mirror image of each other. There's all her boyfriend, his parents, his friend, and it's exactly alike.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out, like, how are we going to get among all these zombies? And someone comes up with the idea, let's act like zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So Barbara does, she's not even paying attention, but she already looks like a zombie, maybe because she's been bitten. Ed and Shaun, they do really good ones. So they're all walking through this horde of zombies, and they get up to the front door, and the door's locked. And they're trying to talk to the people inside, like, John, Bernie, it's us, it's Ed, John, Shaun. And the zombies start noticing them, and then Shaun and Ed get into a big, like, little tiff, little fight, because he's screwing it up for Shaun, and they turn and realize that there's this massive horde just staring at them.
Zombies.
So Shaun had a plan, but, what's the guy's name? See, I can't, this is it. I can't remember. David throws a trash can
Through a window.
through the window, totally exposing them. So Shaun runs around the corner and draws them all away, and they get inside.
He goes like, look at me, I'm over here, and he just runs.
There's another fun fact. If obviously the zombies in this movie compared to other ones, they're slow moving zombies.
Yeah.
And when making the decision of this, Simon Pegg said dying isn't an energy drink.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with slower zombies, and
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah,
like, I don't
really
understand
does.
the whole running.
Yeah,
zombie.
and there's really no way you're gonna survive when.
I mean, unless like if they're running, you'd have to have like some beast type of like
rabid, 28 days later.
Yeah, it's just something like a virus.
Yeah, but
I
feel like the plausibility. Yeah, there's a couple things I don't like: running zombies and animals becoming zombies. If animals are zombies, everyone's dead. Like that.
Yeah.
It's just
you don't really see too many animals. Like you got that one dog.
Occasionally. Well, not in this. In this, there's no zombie animals.
No zombie animal. I'm just saying the only animal really. Is that one dog.
Yeah. But it's that's just if zombies if a zombie apocalypse happens and there's animals, we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Birds, I mean, they're everywhere. So I don't find the plot. I don't like the.
Well, because it goes from animals to insects to literally how many times you get bit by an insect on a daily
every
basis?
day. Yeah. So and running zombies, it's not as bad, but at the same time, like, it's a lot more plausible to be able to escape slow zombies.
Yes.
I mean, the only time you're going to get caught is if the numbers game ends up getting you.
Or get cornered.
Right. So they end up getting inside the Winchester, and they're waiting for Shaun to come back, and finally he shows up. Oh, I gave him the slip. They're not all that. They board up the windows, and they decide to get hammered drunk.
So they get slow.
So now they're slow too. So the lights are out. They see the street lights come on. They decide, hey, let's go turn the lights on inside so maybe we can watch TV. And as Shaun's flipping with the switches, he sees that there's zombies outside the door, and obviously he wasn't as good at giving them the slip as he thought. So he comes back in. They turn on the TV. They realize, like, TV's gone. Everyone's gone. Like, this is starting to get serious.
Yes. No one left.
Here's my serious face.
Sure, that was your serious
constipated
face?
face.
I kind of thinking it was that.
So now it's about the time where Ed screws up yet again. He makes yeah, right. Not Ed. Ed makes a bunch of noise on the pinball machine, which draws all the zombies close. They unplug that, and one of the great scenes, and I literally just noticed this for the first time today. Shaun takes his hand and puts it on Liz's shoulder, and then Ed puts his hand on Barbara's shoulder, and then John the bartender, now a zombie, grabs David. And then the jukebox comes on, and as I was singing terribly earlier, one of the lines when the jukebox comes on is, "Who put this on? It's on random." Well, now Queen comes on, and he says, "Who put this on? It's on random." So now we're in the same situation, and "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen is playing.
Don't stop me now.
And every time I hear that song, that's all I think of, because they grab pool sticks, time at the bar, John, shooting star, leaping through the sky like a tiger, to the beat of the music.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. I don't know why.
David's flipping through the fuse box trying to shut off the jukebox, and that's just drawing attention to the bar.
Well, because it's flickering lights and everything.
They're trying to throw darts, and one gets stuck in Shaun's head, and finally they kill John. But now they've made so much noise. They find out that Barbara's been bitten.
Yeah.
And David is, sensible. We need to kill her, but it's a tough situation, and your mom's been bitten.
My mom!
And the actor playing Shaun put himself in the shoes of Shaun. If this was my mother, how would I feel? And once the scene was over, him and Nick broke down and cried together. Yeah. So she ends up getting put down, and he punches David in the face. David tries to shoot him, realizes what he's done. He's like, "I'm leaving. Like, forget this." They talk him down like, "Hey, relax. You can't go out there." So he's about to apologize, and bam, crash, boom, right through the window, and we get the goriest scene of Shaun of the Dead, hands down. And it's a relatively gory movie for comedy, but they end up tearing his stomach open. You see his guts flying everywhere. They're biting, and then Di runs with his leg and starts beating the zombies down with the leg. In this shot right here. Obviously really gory, and that kind of brings us to the climax. Now the window's busted open, the zombies
are coming in.
What are we gonna do? So they run and grab the rifle that's above the bar.
It's not real.
It's called the Winchester. Exactly. So they find out the gun is real, and if you watch zombie movies, zombie shows, one thing that's always bugged me, not a lot. I'm not one. I suspend disbelief, but the people are always in high-pressure situations, 100 feet away, nailing headshots. And just because you're getting shot in the head doesn't mean you're damaging the part of the brain that needs to be damaged. Yeah. And anyone who's gone shooting knows it's really not that easy to hit a tiny spot, especially in a high-pressure situation. And that's something that they really showed in this movie, is he's a terrible shot. He misses almost every time. And
he's actually not that far.
No. And he ends up hitting one, but, they do a lot of the same video game. Top left, video game.
Oh, yeah, I love those games.
That they were talking like earlier in the movie. So the back door busts open, and Pete, the roommate's there, and
He's come back for revenge.
He's come back, and of course he bites Ed. Ed gets bitten on the arm and the neck, and they end up trapped behind the bar. The bar's on fire. They left the bullets up on the bar. Can't get them. And now they're trapped. And one of the bar guests from earlier in the movie, the older woman, she starts coming through, and they're like, "Give me a break!" And one of the bullets pings off this right through her head. And there ends up being a cellar right underneath
The cellar
them.
door.
So they get to the cellar. Now they're trapped again. They can't get the doors out open to the street open. And
Was there people on it? I don't remember how it was.
there was a button that they needed to use, but they're pretty much trapped. And they're talking about, how many bullets do we have? I don't, and 1, 2. There's 3 of us. There's 2 bullets, and Ed's, I'll be eaten. I don't care. I'm already gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
And Shaun's like, I don't think I have it in me to kill my mom, my roommate, and my girlfriend all in the same day. And what makes you think taking you back? Well, you don't want to die single, do you? So, even
after all this, she didn't take it back. What kind of? What is that about you?
What else are you gonna do?
My hero.
Give the guy a
screw
break.
you.
So, he ends up lighting up a couple cigarettes for them, and they very a la Resident Evil see the buttons up to the street. So they're trying to get Ed up there with him. And Ed's like, I'm just going to slow you down. I'm dead.
Yeah.
And we see one more joke from Ed. I'm sorry, Shaun. I'll stop doing it when you stop laughing. Perfectly timed.
Nice.
So they give him the cigarette. They give him the gun. And as they're rising up, I love you. Gay. So they get up and the zombies are surrounding them. All's lost, and all of a sudden the military, bam, bam, and when I first saw it, I thought that Shaun and Liz got shot, like the original Night of the Living Dead. I was like, oh. And Yvonne pops out.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't. Like, how would they have known, like, coming into that scene that they were not as bloody as he was?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I thought he was.
Yeah,
you got red on you.
They shot everyone, and then Yvonne comes in. Oh my God, Shaun! Between that and the boy that Liz. So they get rescued. They're holding hands. Everything's good. Everything's kosher. Oh, kosher. So we see. Fast forward. All the news stories that are on the TV that Shaun's watching,
all the updates,
are explained like, oh, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, and if you watch a couple of the scenes in the movie, as he's skipping through the television station, each channel that's on is delivering part of one big message. Especially there's one earlier that I didn't talk about where it's like. Yeah.
It was like full story paragraph.
It's a full story based on
like in the order of the cuts, in order of the cuts of the channels changing.
Yep.
It was really cool. You should watch it.
Yeah, same thing here. They're saying, oh, was it monkeys? Was it this? Was it radiation? That?
Always gotta blame the monkeys. Like, why are we blaming the monkeys?
I mean,
I want a chimp.
They throw poop at people.
I mean,
so do you. But either way, so. We see Shaun and Liz are together. It seems like they have a good life together now. A lot of their friends are dead. You see on the wall behind them pictures of their friends and family. Yeah. But they talk about the plan. Let's have lunch. Let's go out here. Let's do this. Normal life together, even though all that stuff happened. And he asks to go out into the garden with what I think is the perfect wrap-up scene to this movie. We see him pick up the PlayStation controller. Player 2 has entered the game. Yep. And we find out that he has Ed on a chain.
In the shed.
And we see that a lot of the zombies are retained because their basic motor functions can help them work. Yeah. So a lot of the people that...
they're good for remedial tasks.
Right, exactly. So, Shaun reaches across and Ed tries to bite him, but we get the scene playing out to another Queen song, and it's a somewhat happy ending. I guess it's kind of depressing, but
maybe they get cured. You don't know.
Yeah.
If they had a sequel, maybe they did get cured.
Well, they did talk about the sequel, but at this point, I doubt it's going to happen. But undoubtedly,
look at the Zombieland. It took 10 years for that.
Yeah, well, it's been 15 already, so still, you never know. But altogether, it's a great movie. It's hands down,
classic.
My favorite zombie movie.
Okay. I don't know if I have a favorite. Yeah. It's definitely up there.
That one, Dawn of the Dead. There's a lot of really good ones out there, but Shaun of the Dead is definitely my favorite. It made my top 10 list.
I think it kind of like gives like a more of a realistic, like how
Yeah.
people would actually react to such a thing rather than very gung ho and
Yeah.
end of the world, army,
Everyone-
military. Like
Exactly.
no, I think we're just gonna try to just survive and do what we
Yeah.
can, beat the hell out of
and
everybody.
it shows like a realistic, like these people, like what are we gonna do? We're terrible shots,
These people have no life skills. Like they have
No.
no survival skills. They have no nothing. This is what happened.
Most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are always saying, "Oh, I'd be this character. I'd be this character."
No.
No, you'd be one of the zombies. I
Yeah.
would be one of the zombies, especially if you're in a big city area.
Oh, yeah.
Like, go to a big concert that has 100,000 people and look around and think about how many people are in your city. How many would be zombies? You're gonna die, and if
Yes.
you don't die, you're gonna have a miserable life. So those people out there that wish a zombie apocalypse would happen,
No, you don't.
no, you don't. And you're sitting here going, I'm going to thumbs down him because I would want a zombie apocalypse. No, you wouldn't. We'd all be dead, okay? You'd be wishing for your mommy and daddy to be holding you and wiping your booty by the time the first day was over, okay?
Yes.
So would I.
Yep.
So would I. But all in all, great film. Sometimes I know a lot of people I've showed it to. Some love it, some hate it. Not necessarily hate it, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to go over your head.
Watch it a couple times. Watch it a couple times.
Yeah, watch it a couple times. Really pay attention to what they're saying because there's little things that get missed, and it's hard to pick up. Their accents are really, really strong.
Really thick,
but,
yeah.
As far as it being one of my favorites, it's one of those movies that every single time it's on TV, I'm going to watch it.
Yep.
I love it.
Every time.
And, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of
Killer Collab.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime.
Really, really enjoyed talking about Shaun of the Dead, and this is hands down one of my favorite things to do is the podcast.
The podcast is very fun. It's another aspect of reviews and just gives us more of an in-depth perception of what we think of the movie and, stuff that we can relate to and just different comments that we can have on
and
certain
I'm
movies.
filled with a bunch of useless facts.
A lot of useless facts.
So many useless facts. It's like I'm
you have
great
no
for
idea.
trivia, only if it's about the stuff I like. But guys, as always, if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, guys. If you don't like something, tell us why. We'd love to hear
Absolutely.
constructive criticism. We'd love to hear your opinions. Talk about what you guys thought of the movie. Talk about what you want to see us do. Anything helps, guys. We love getting feedback.
We have more and more things coming in all the time. We're trying new things out. We're bringing in some new aspects. And so anything you guys want to see, anything, just let us know. Get in contact with us at twostepentertainmentllc.com, and you'll be able to get more information to us so we can get what you want out of.
And Kaylee Cuoco, if you're watching, if you and your husband break up, I will be there to pick up the pieces. Just in case.
Yeah, the hold your breath.
Fine.
I mean, you can hold your breath and kind of entertaining.
Did you get
turn
my
you blue.
this time? Is it in the fridge?
I mean, this is a new studio, so you might have to find the fridge.
It's in the,
Yeah, find the fridge in the studio.
I appreciate you getting me Yoo-hoo this time. I appreciate it.
I think it's in the fridge on the porch.
Okay, let me look out here.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, wait. No.
There's no Yoo-hoo in here. This is ridiculous. You told me you have Yoo-hoo. I can't work like this, Tony. I'm out.
It's back ordered. It's back ordered. I mean,
I don't know why I keep coming back expecting Yoo-hoo. You are such a piece of crap. I can't even open the door.
go back to the green room. Go back to the green room. You're fine. Anyway, like you said, like, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll see more of us on Killer Collab.